administration of the Greater Egg Harbor Regional High School District, we would like to welcome you back to the Absegami High School Performing Arts Center. In the unlikely event of an emergency, please move to the exits on the sides and to the rear of the auditorium. Absegami High School is a smoke-free campus. There should be no smoking anywhere in the building or on the grounds of the school. We would also like to ask you to please refrain from using your cell phones, as they can disrupt our wireless microphone system, as well as the patrons of this show. Due to ongoing COVID protocol guidelines, all theater patrons must wear their masks over their mouth and nose at all times while they are in the building. The Absegami Emanon players would like to thank all of those families, patrons, and local businesses who supported the drama program with the purchase of program advertisements. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you for attending today's performance and supporting the performing arts here at Absegami High School. And now, the Absegami Emanon players are proud to present 12 Angry Jurors.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard a long and complex case. Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You've listened to the testimony. You've had the law read to you and interpreted as it applies to this case. It now becomes your duty to try and sit down and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. Another's life is at stake. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. If in your minds there's a reasonable doubt as to the guilt of the accused, a reasonable doubt, you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then you must, in good conscience, find the accused guilty. However you decide, your decision must be unanimous. In the event the accused is found guilty, the bench will not entertain a recommendation for mercy. The death penalty is mandatory in this case.
Oh man, they're not gonna love this. It must be 85 degrees in here. And I thought that courtroom was hot.
I just want to get out of here and get home to my apartment and my AC. I think I might break a record today. It's been in the 90s for over 2 weeks. I'm ruining every item of clothing I have.
At least you don't have to wear a uniform. At least there's some hope today. We might get a thunderstorm later.
I hope so. Can't anyone do anything about it in here?
You're talking about the city government. They probably got the heater on.
Yeah, until November when the AC will work.
So, how's it feel to finish working on your first trial?
Okay, I wasn't prepared for a murder trial. We've been here since Easter.
Yeah, you never know. Each case is different. I mean, this one lasted a few months. I've seen trials go on for a year.
It's not like what you see on television. So many procedural parts of a trial. Once it got going, it was really interesting. Can I ask you a question? Not about anything specific, of course.
Sure.
Are all of these cases like this? I mean, I don't know a whole lot about the law, but this trial seems pretty cut and dried.
Yeah, you can never tell. Each case is different. Each jury takes on a different personality. Sometimes they just want to leave and don't care about the case. Sometimes they care a lot and argue quite a bit. Here's the thing. We all take this part for granted. These 12 people have given up weeks of their lives to participate in a system which is trying to make sure that all of our rights are protected and that we receive a fair trial. So many people try to find ways to not be on a jury. We should really be thankful for the ones who do serve.
Absolutely.
Well, I hope for their sake it is. Otherwise, they're going to be in the sun quite a while. But between you and me, this kid doesn't stand a chance.
It's awfully high.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for your service these past months. As you were instructed by the judge, it is now time for you to deliberate on this case. A reminder that you must all be unanimous in your decision, whatever it will be. Ms. Johnson and I to be of service to you as you work to reach a verdict. A reminder that during deliberation, this door will be locked. If you need anything, please knock on this door. We're right outside. Now then, I know you won't be happy about this, but given the nature of this trial, we will need to confiscate your phone during deliberation. I know. But we do not want to miss trial because one of you forgets to turn off your phone camera and records part of the deliberation. At this time, I need you to turn your phone completely off and place it in the box held by Ms. Johnson. Your phones will be under constant watch, so you should have no fear of anything happening to them. There are pads of paper and pencils on the table and water over there on the windowsill. Ladies and gentlemen, the state of New Jersey thanks you for your cooperation and assistance today.
Chewing gum? Gum?
Thank you, but no.
You know something?
I know lots of things. I'm in advertising.
You know it's hot.
I never would have known that. Would you?
I suppose not. I'd have kind of forgotten.
All I've done all day is sweat.
Bet you aren't sweating like that boy who was trying.
You think they at least air conditioned the place? I almost died in court.
My taxes are high enough.
This should go fast anyways.
Yes, it's hot.
All right, we're all here. If there's anything you need, we'll be right outside. Just knock. Did she just lock that door?
Yes, she did.
What do they think we are, crooks?
Well, they lock us up for a little
I think
while.
they lock up that boy forever, which is fine by me.
I never knew they did that.
Sure they locked the door. What did you think?
I just didn't know. It never occurred to me.
Shall we all admit right now that it is hot and humid and our tempers are short?
It's been a pretty hard week. I feel just fine as long as I've got my hairbrush.
I wonder what's been going on down at the office. You know how it is in advertising. 6 days, my job could be gone. The entire company too. They won't like this.
Well, I think this is our duty.
Well, I didn't object to doing my duty. I just mentioned my job might be gone by the time we're done here.
Well, ask him to help you. He's rich. I bet his wife will do a wonderful job. Just look at that watch.
Is it an original?
Yes, it is.
I have an aunt who makes watches.
Really? How does she do?
Not too well. You know, a friend of hers, that's a friend of my aunt, the watchmaker, asked to be on this jury in my place.
Well, why didn't you let her? I would have done anything to miss this.
And get caught or something? Do you know what kind of a fine you can pay for a thing like that? Anyways, this friend was on a jury. A case just like this one about 10 years ago.
So, what happened?
They let him off. Reasonable doubt. And don't you know, about 8 years later, they found out he'd actually done it anyways. A guilty man, a murderer, was turned loose on the streets.
How horrible.
Did they get him?
They couldn't.
Why not?
No one can be held to double jeopardy. Unless it's a hung jury, they can't try anyone twice for the same crime.
Well, that isn't going to happen here.
6 days. They should have finished it in 2. Talk, 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 talk. Did you ever hear so much talk about nothing?
Well, I guess they're entitled.
Everybody gets a fair trial. That's the system. Suppose you can't say anything against it.
How'd you like this business about the switch knife? I mean, did you ever in your life hear such a story?
Well, look, you have to expect that. you know what you're dealing with.
He bought a switch knife that night.
Then claimed he lost it.
A hole in his pocket?
All hole in his father.
Sucks.
An awful way to kill your father. A knife in his chest.
Well, look at the kind of people they are. You know them.
What's the matter? You got a cold?
A Lulu. These hot weather colds can kill you.
You know I had one last year. On my vacation too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take our seats.
Right. This better be fast. I'm gonna take this to Wicked, and I must be the only person in the whole world who hasn't seen it. Anyways, Your Honor, start the show.
How about sitting down? The lady at the window, how about sitting down?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's hard to figure, isn't it? Boy knifes his father. Just like that. Well, it's this juvenile delinquency. People let their kids run wild. Maybe it serves them right.
There's no need to get emotional about it. It's a question of evidence, not how we feel.
We all agree that it was hot.
And that our tempers will get short.
That's if we disagree. But this is open and shut. Let's get it done.
All right. Now, you guys can go about this any way you want to. I mean, I'm not going to make any rules. If you want to discuss it first and then vote, that's one way. Or we could vote now, just to see where we all stand.
Let's vote now, and who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
Yeah, let's vote now. Let's see who's where.
Right, let's get it done. All right, let us vote.
Anybody doesn't want to vote? All right. All those voting guilty, raise your hands. Eleven votes for guilty. All those voting not guilty?
What is the matter with you?
Okay, the vote is 11 to 1 in favor of guilty. Now we know where we stand.
Do you really believe he's not guilty? I don't know.
After 6 days, she doesn't know.
In 6 days, I could learn calculus. This is ABC.
I don't believe it's as simple as ABC. I've never seen a guiltier man in my life. What does a guilty man look like? He's not guilty until we say he is guilty. Are we to vote on his face? You sat right in court and heard the exact same things I did. The boy's a dangerous killer. You could see it. Where do you look to see if someone's a killer? Well, I would like to know. What are the facial characteristics of a killer? Maybe you know something that I don't know.
Look, what is there about the case that makes you think the boy is innocent?
He's 19 years old. That's old enough. He knifed his own father 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 19-year-old. Murderer.
Look, I agree with you that the boy is guilty, but I think we should try to avoid emotionally colored arguments.
All right, they proved it a dozen different ways. Would you like me to list them? No.
Well, do you believe that stupid story he told?
Now.
Do you believe the boy's story?
Don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what you go not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not so easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
And who says it's easy for me?
Or me.
No one.
He's still just as guilty, whether it's an easy vote or a hard one.
Is there something wrong because I voted fast?
Not necessarily.
Look, I think the boy's guilty, and you couldn't change my mind, even if he talked for 100 years.
I don't want to change your mind. But what do you want? I want to talk a while. Look, this boy's been kicked around all his life. You know, living in a slum, his mother dead since he was 9. He's a tough, angry boy. And you know why slum children get this way? It's because we knock them over the heads all the time. I think maybe we owe him a few words, that's all.
All right. Life's hard. It was hard for me. Everything we got, my wife and I fought for. I worked my way through college where I met her. That was a long time ago, and perhaps you do forget. But I fought. My wife fought. But neither of us ever killed.
I know what hard looks like, but I don't know what either.
I've been kicked around too. Wait until you worked in ad agency. The guy buying the ad walks in.
In my country, in Europe, kicking was a silence. But let's try to find something better than that.
Look, I don't mind telling you this, but we don't owe the boy a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? Do you know how much that trial cost? He's lucky he's got it. Look, we're all grown-ups here. You're not gonna sit here and tell us that we're supposed to believe he's innocent, knowing what he is. Look, I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. You know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible thing to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? You don't have a monopoly on the truth.
All right, save it for Sunday. We don't need a sermon.
Well, what this man is saying is very dangerous.
Oh, now you listen here, you
I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we ought to keep our heads.
Right.
Certainly, if you insist.
Thank you.
Sure.
Why, if we're going to discuss this case, then let's discuss the facts.
I agree. We have a job to do. Let's do it.
If you all don't mind, I will close this window. It was blowing on my neck,
I'd like to have the window open.
but it was blowing on me.
Don't you want a little air? It's summer. It's hot.
I was very uncomfortable.
Look, there are 12 of us in this room. It's the only window, if you don't mind.
I have some rights too.
So do the rest of us.
Couldn't you just trade chairs with someone at the other end of the table?
All right, I will open the window if someone will trade.
Here, you can take my chair.
Thank you.
Shall we get back into the case now?
Yeah. Let's.
Listen, I may have an idea here, but I'm just thinking out loud. But it seems to me that it's up to the 11 of us to convince this woman that we're right and she's wrong. Maybe if, I don't know, we go around the table, talk for a minute or two, you know, try it on for size.
It's alright with me.
It's all right with me too.
Okay then. I guess you're first.
Oh, well, I think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious.
In what way was it obvious?
I mean that nobody proved otherwise.
No one has to prove otherwise. Innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't even have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution, Fifth Amendment. You've heard of it.
Everyone has.
Well, sure, I've heard of it. I know what it is. Well, what I meant to say is, well, I just think he's guilty.
No reasons, just guilty. There's a life at stake here. All right, you want to talk facts then? Let's talk facts. Number one, let's take the old man who lives in the apartment right underneath the room where the murder took place. At 10 minutes after 12 on the night of the killing, he said he heard some strange noises in the upstairs apartment. He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the boy say to his father, "I'm gonna kill you!" A second later, he heard a body fall. Ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, and saw the kid running downstairs and out of the house. Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner estimated the time of death to be at around midnight.
That's right. Now what else do you want? Doesn't seem right to me.
The boy's whole story is flimsy. He claims he was at the movies. That's a little ridiculous, isn't it? He doesn't even remember what movie he saw.
That's right. Did you hear that? You are absolutely right.
He didn't have any ticket stub.
Who keeps a ticket stub at the movies?
That's true enough.
I suppose, but the cashier didn't even remember him.
And the ticket taker didn't either.
Look, what about the testimony from the woman across the street? If that doesn't prove it, then nothing can.
That's right. She saw the killing, didn't she?
Everyone, can we please try and be organized and go in order?
Now, just a moment. Here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep. It's hot, you know? Anyways, she looks out her window and across the street, she sees the boy knife his father.
How can she really be sure it was the boy when she saw it through the windows of a passing elevator train?
She's known him all his life. His window is right opposite of hers. She swore she saw him do it.
I heard her swear to it.
Okay, and they proved in court that you can look across the passing elevated train at night and see what is happening on the other side through the windows. They proved it.
Weren't you just telling us a few moments ago that you can't trust them? That you can't believe them?
So,
Then I'd like to ask you something. How come you believed her? She's one of them too, isn't she?
you're a pretty smart cookie, aren't you?
All right, let's settle down.
What are you letting her get you all upset for? Sit down, relax.
Look, they took us to the woman's room, and we looked through the windows of a passing L train, didn't we?
Yes, we looked.
And weren't you able to see what was happening on the other side?
I didn't see as well as they told me I would, but I did see what happened on the other side.
You see. You do see, don't you?
Let's calm down now. It's your turn.
I'll pass it.
That's your privilege. What about you?
I don't know. What convinced me was the testimony from those people across the hall. Didn't they say something about an argument between the boy and the father around 7 o'clock that night? I mean, I could be wrong.
I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock.
They heard the father hit the boy twice, and then saw the boy walk angrily out of the house.
Right.
And what does that prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just a part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
All right. Anything else?
No.
I don't know. Most of the business out of me. We can sit here and talk all day about this thing, but I think we're wasting our time.
I don't.
Neither do I. Go on.
I mean, look at the boy's record. He stole a car, he's been arrested for mugging, and I think they said he once stabbed someone in the arm.
They did.
He was a horrible guy. I mean, he was arrested, he was like, stabbed someone in the arm, and at 15 he was sent to a reform school.
And they sent to a reform school for stabbing someone.
This is a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fists.
And so would I, on a boy like that, or if I didn't, I see that his father did.
You're right. It's the kids nowadays, you know? Just the way they are. I've got a boy. When he was 8 years old, I caught him running off with the neighborhood gang, fighting and out on the streets. And after all I told him about staying away from them, Skunk, he goes and joins me. Oh, I gave him a whooping he'd never forget. And you know what? When he was 15, he hit me. A woman. His own mother in the face. He's big, you know. I haven't seen him in 3 years, and maybe I'm just better off. Such a rotten kid. I hate tough kids. You work so hard and you put your heart out and they just... Let's just get back to it.
Look, we're missing the point here. This boy, let's admit, he's the product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to get into the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. I know it. So do all of you. The children who come out of slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it there. I don't want any part of it. Believe me.
I lived in a slum all my life.
Oh, now.
I used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells on me.
Now let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal.
There is something personal.
Come on. He didn't mean you. Let's not be so sensitive. Whom did he mean?
I can understand the sensitivity.
All right, let's stop this bickering.
We're wasting our time.
It's your turn.
All right. I had a peculiar feeling about this trial. Somehow, I felt that the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. So many questions were left unasked.
While it doesn't change my opinion about the guilt of the boy, still, I do agree with you that the defense counsel was bad.
So, this is a point. What about the facts? So So many questions were never answered. And what about the questions that were answered? For instance, let's talk about that cute little switch knife. You know, the one that fine, upright boy admitted to buying. All right, let's talk about it. Let's get it in here and look at it. I'd like to see it again, Mr. Foreman. We already saw the thing once. I don't get why we have to look at it again. What do you think?
The lady has a right to see exhibits and evidence.
Fine by me.
And this knife is a pretty strong piece of evidence. Don't you agree?
I do.
So, let's get the sequence of events straight as they relate to the switch knife.
The boy admits to going out at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched.
Or punched. The boy went to a neighborhood store and bought the switch knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day, and he admitted to selling it to the boy.
I think everyone can agree that it's a pretty unusual knife. Kind of hard to get a thing like that.
The storekeeper said he was the only one of its kind he had in stock. Now, why did the boy get it?
As a present for a friend of his, he says.
Am I right so far?
Right. Now you bet he's right. I want you all to listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about.
Next, the boy claims that on his way home, he must have dropped the knife through a hole in his coat pocket. Says he never saw it again. Now, there's a story for you people. We know what really happened. The boy brought the knife home, and a few hours later, stabbed his father with it, and even remembered to wipe off all the fingerprints. Everyone connected with the case identified this knife. Now, are you trying to make us believe some stranger picked it up off the street, went to the boy's house, and stabbed the father with it? Just to be amusing?
No, I'm saying that it's possible that the boy dropped the knife and that someone else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Take a look at this knife. It's a very strange knife. I've never seen one like it before in my life. Neither that storekeeper. Now, aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept it. I'm just saying it's possible. And I'm saying it's not possible. What are you trying to do?
Yeah, what is this? Who do you think you are?
Look at it. It's the same knife.
Quiet! Let's be quiet!
Where did you get it?
I got it at a little junk shop around the corner from the boy's house. It cost $2. Now listen to me. I'm listening. You pulled a real smart trick here, but you proved absolutely zero. There could be 10 knives like that, so what? Maybe there are. The boy lied, and you know it. And maybe he didn't lie. Maybe he did lose the knife, and maybe he did go to the movies. Maybe the reason the cashier didn't see him was because he snuck into the movies and was too ashamed to say so. Is there anybody here who didn't sneak into the movies once or twice when they were young?
I didn't.
Really? Not even once?
We didn't have movies.
Maybe he did go to the movies, maybe he didn't. And he could have lied. Do you think he lied?
Oh, that's a stupid question. Sure he lied.
How about you?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer. He lied.
Do you think he lied?
I don't know.
Now, wait a minute. What are you basing it on? Look, the boy had a lawyer, didn't he? There's still 11 of us who think he's guilty. You're alone. What do you think you're going to accomplish? If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, the goal we try to get him found guilty sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
So, what are you going to do about it? We could be here all night.
It's only one night. A man may die.
Now, come on!
That's true.
I think we ought to get on with it now.
How do you like this woman?
You tell me. You're the one holding up the show.
Obviously, you don't think the boy is guilty.
I have a reasonable doubt in my mind.
But you haven't really presented anything to us to make it possible to understand your doubt. There's the old man downstairs. He heard it. He heard the boy shriek it
The
out.
woman across the L tracks. She saw it.
We know he bought a switch knife that night, but we don't know where he really was. At the movies?
The boy and his father did have a fight that night.
He's been a violent boy all the way. And while that doesn't necessarily prove anything.
Still, you know,
I have a proposition to make. I'd like to call for another vote. I want the 11 of you to vote by secret ballot. I'll abstain. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, then I won't stand alone. We'll take in a guilty verdict right now.
Okay, that sounds fair. Does everybody agree? All right. Rip off a piece of paper and pass your vote down this way. Guilty. 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 Guilty.
That's 6.
Please. 6 guilty. 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 No. Guilty. Guilty.
how do you like that?
Who was it? I think we have the right to know.
All right, who did it? Which idiot changed their vote? Is that the way to talk about a man's life? Whose life are we talking about? The life of a dead man or the life of a murderer?
I want to know who.
So what?
Excuse me, this was a secret ballot.
No one looked while he did, but now I want to know.
A secret ballot? We agreed on this point, no? If the person wishes it to remain a secret,
What do
then...
you mean? There are no secrets in here. I know who did it. What is the matter with you? You come in here and you vote guilty, and then this slick cookie starts to tear your heart out with stories about a poor, little innocent boy who just couldn't help becoming a murderer. So you change your vote, if that isn't the most sickening...
Now hold it.
I agree with you that the boy's guilty, but let's be fair.
Hold it? Be fair, that's exactly what I'm saying. We're trying to put a guilty man into the chair where he belongs, and all of a sudden we're paying attention to fairy tales.
Now just a minute.
Now you listen to me.
Ladies, let's try and keep this organized.
It isn't organized, but let's try to be civilized.
Please, I would like to say something here. I have always thought that a person in this country was entitled to have unpopular opinions. That is why I came here. I wanted to have the right to disagree.
Do you disagree with us?
Usually I would. In this one case, I agree with you. But the point I wish to make is that in my own country, I was ashamed...
What do we have to do? Listen to the whole history of your country?
It's always wise to bear in mind what has happened in other countries when people aren't allowed to disagree. But we are, so let's stick to the subject.
Yes, I agree. Let's stick to the subject. Now, I want to ask you, what made you change your vote?
I want to know too. You haven't told us yet.
Why do you think I changed my vote?
Because I do. Now get on with it.
There's nothing for her to tell you. She didn't change her vote, I did.
I was going to tell you, but you were so sure of yourself.
Sorry. Okay, now what?
Maybe you'd like to know why.
I'll tell you why that boy's...
The man wants to talk.
Thank you. This lady chose not to stand alone against this. And that's her right. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even if you believe in something very strongly. She left the verdict up to us. She gambled for support, and I gave it to her. I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2.
All right, that's fine. If the speech is over, let's continue.
If there was anything in the boy's favor, I'd vote not guilty.
I don't see what it is.
Neither do I. They're clutching at straws.
As
one juror that's holding out, but she'll come around. She's got to, and fundamentally, she is a very reasonable person.
I guess so.
They haven't given us one real fact yet to back up a not guilty verdict.
It's hard, you know?
Yes, it is. But what does guilty beyond a reasonable doubt really mean?
What's a reasonable doubt?
Exactly. When a life is at stake, what is a reasonable doubt? You've got to have law and order. You've got to draw the line somewhere. If you didn't, everyone would just go around and start knifing people.
Well, there's not much doubt here.
2 people think so. I wonder why. I really wonder why.
You do hear stories of innocent men that have gone to jail, or death sometimes. Then years later, things turn up.
And then, on the other hand, you hear about killers who get turned loose and then they go and do it again. They squeeze out on some technicality and kill again.
Look, hon, now that we've kind of pulled off, well, I was excited a minute ago. I didn't mean to get nasty. It's nothing personal.
Think nothing of it.
Look, supposing you answer me this. If the boy didn't kill him, then who did?
As far as I know, we're supposed to decide whether or not the boy on trial is guilty. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here.
I agree, but who else had a motive?
Well, the father was long in years. Perhaps an old grudge?
Remember, it's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That's an important thing to remember.
Everyone's a lawyer. Supposing you explain to us what your reasonable doubts are.
That's not so easy. So far, it's only a feeling I have. It's a feeling. Perhaps you don't understand?
No, I don't.
Feeling. What are we going to do? Sit here all night and talk about our feelings? What about the facts?
You took the words right out of my mouth. Look, the old man heard the boy yell, "I'm going to kill you." A second later, he heard the father's body falling and saw the kid running downstairs and out of the house 15 seconds after that.
Where's the reasonable doubt in that?
And let's not forget about the woman across the street. If she looked out into her open window and saw the boy knife his father, she saw it.
Now, if that's not enough for you. It's not enough for me.
What is enough for you? I'd like to know.
How do you like her? It's like talking into a dead phone.
The woman saw the murder through the windows of a passing elevated train. The train had 5 cars. She saw it through the windows of the last 2 cars. She remembers the most insignificant details.
Well, what have you got to say about that? I don't know. It doesn't seem right to me. Well, supposing you think about it. Want to see my new hairstyle?
I think it's nice, but won't it be out of style by the time we're done here?
This isn't a hair salon. Now, wait a minute. This is a man's life. Who do you think you are?
Okay, let's calm down.
I've got a good mind to walk around this table. Let's slap her!
Now please, I don't want any fighting in here.
Did you see her? The nerve. The absolute nerve!
All right, forget it. It don't mean anything.
How about sitting down?
This isn't a hair salon. Who does she think she is?
Weren't we talking about elevated trains?
Yes, we were.
So?
All right. How long does it take an elevated train going at top speed past a given point?
What has that got to do with anything?
How long would it take? Guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Nobody mentioned it.
What do you think?
About 10 or 12 seconds, maybe?
I'd say that's a fair guess. Anyone else?
I would think about 10 seconds, perhaps?
About 10 seconds, yeah.
All right, we're agreed. 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. That given point is the window of the room in which the murder took place. You can almost reach out of the window of that room and touch the L as it goes by, right?
That's right. I mean, I tried it.
So?
Let me ask you this. Have any of you lived near the L tracks?
I've lived close to them.
They're very loud, aren't they? I've lived next to the L tracks. When your window is open and the train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can't even hear yourself.
Can't even hear yourself. Think. Get to the point.
Now, the old man heard the boy say. He didn't say it. He screamed it. He heard the boy scream, "I'm gonna kill you." And then 1 second later, he heard the body fall, right?
Right?
The woman across the street looked through the windows of the last 2 cars of the L and saw the body fall, right?
Right? So...
Last 2 cars. The last 2 cars.
What are you giving us here?
This. An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point, or 2 seconds per car. That means the L had already been going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds before the body fell. Now, that means the old man would have had to hear the boy say, "I'm gonna kill you," while the front of the L was roaring past his nose. It's not possible he could have heard it.
What do you mean? Sure, he could have heard it.
With an L train going by?
He said the boy yelled it out.
L trains make a lot of noise.
Well, it's enough for me.
It's enough for me too.
I don't think you could have heard it.
Maybe the old man didn't hear it. I mean, with the L noise.
What are you people talking about? Are you calling the old man a liar?
Something doesn't fit.
Well, it stands to reason.
You're crazy. Why would he lie? What does he have to gain?
Attention. Maybe.
You know, you keep coming up with these bright sayings. How about you put that one on Facebook? Get a lot of likes with that one, Grandpa.
What does that have to do with the man's life? Why might the old man have lied? You have a right to be heard.
It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was split under the arm. Did you notice that? He was a very old man with a torn jacket, and he carried 2 canes. I think I know him better than anyone here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant old man who's been nothing all his life. He's never had any recognition or his name in the newspapers. This is a very sad thing. 75 years and nobody knows him. A man like this needs to be recognized and questioned and listened to and quoted just once. This is very important for someone like
Wait a minute. So you're trying to tell us this old man lied about such a thing just so he could be important?
No, he wouldn't really lie, but perhaps he'd make himself believe he heard those words and recognize the boy's face.
Well, if that isn't the most fantastic story I have ever heard, how could you make up a thing like that?
I'm not making it up.
Well, sure you are. People don't lie about things like that.
He made himself believe he told the truth.
And what do you know about it?
I speak from experience.
All right. Anything else?
Cough drop?
Oh, no, thank you.
Does anybody want cough drop?
Come on, let's get on with it now.
I'll take one.
Thank you. Now, I think we proved that the old man couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." But supposing that the old man did hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," how many times have we heard this phrase before? Probably hundreds. If you do that once more, Junior, I'm going to kill you. Or her husband yells, "Come on, Rocky, kill him." We say this phrase every day. This doesn't really mean we're going to kill someone.
But don't the circumstances alter that somewhat?
The boy's father was murdered.
And one thing more, the phrase was, "I'm going to kill you," and the kid screamed it out at the top of his lungs.
And when somebody says something like that, they mean it.
Let me ask you this. Do you really think the boy would shout out a thing like that so the whole neighborhood could hear? I don't think so. He's much too brave for that.
Right. He is a common, ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good English.
The boy is clever enough.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
All right. The vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
I'd like to know why you changed your mind.
I think there's a doubt.
Where? What is the doubt?
There's the night.
She She made you believe in a fairy tale.
Go on. Give us the reasons.
The old man, too. Maybe the old man didn't lie, but then just maybe he did. Maybe the old man doesn't like the boy.
Well, that isn't the end of it.
I believe there's a reasonable doubt.
Oh, now wait a minute! What are you basing it on? Stories that this woman made up? She ought to write for a murder podcast. She'd make a fortune. Look, the boy had a lawyer, didn't he? So why didn't his lawyers bring up all these good points?
Lawyers can't think of everything.
Oh heavens! You sit there and pull stories out of thin air, and now I'm supposed to believe that the old man didn't get out of bed, run to the door, and see the boy running downstairs 15 seconds after the killing?
That is the testimony, I believe.
And the old man swore to this. Yes, he swore to this, only so that he could be important.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, what's the difference? He got there.
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how the old man could have ran to the door.
He said he went. I remember it now. He went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Where was his bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere.
Down the hall? Are we to send a boy off to die because it's down the hall somewhere?
I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No, I don't.
I don't remember either.
Foreman, I'd like to see the diagram of the apartment.
Why don't we let them run the trial over, just so you can get everything straight?
Do you know exactly where it is? Please, a man's life is at stake. Do you know?
Well, it's...
Foreman,
I heard you.
all right, what's this one for? And how come she's the only one in the room that wants to see the exhibits all the time?
I want to see this one too.
So do I.
It's a ridiculous waste of time.
She has a right. Let her go ahead.
The diagram should be in here any minute now.
Is this what you wanted?
Yes, thank you.
Sure, that's my job.
You wanted this?
Yes, please.
Do me a favor. Wake me up when this is over.
I looked at this diagram for 2 hours now. Enough is enough.
Some of us are interested. Go ahead.
All right. This is the diagram of the apartment in which the murder took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath it and exactly the same. Here are the L tracks, the bedroom, the living room, the bathroom, the kitchen, the hall, and here are the stairs. Now, the old man testified that he got up, went to his bedroom door, opened it, walked down the hall, and opened his front door just in time to see the boy racing down the steps. Am I right?
That's the story.
That's what happened.
15 seconds after the body fell.
Correct.
Now, the old man's bed was by the window. The distance from the bed to the door was around 12 feet. The length of the hall is 43 feet 6 inches. So that means the old man would have to get up, get his canes, walk 12 feet to his bedroom door, open it, and walk 43 feet to his front door and open it all in 15 seconds. He said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge that kind of thing.
Well, he said 15. He was very positive about it.
He's an old man. You saw that. Half the time he was confused. How could he be positive about... Well, I'm pacing out 12 feet, the length of the bedroom. I'm going to see how long it really took him. You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
Perhaps if you could see it, this is an important point.
I want to stop wasting time.
Let her do it.
I can't see any harm in it. Foolish, but go ahead.
All right. This will be the old man's bed, and this will be the bedroom door. How far would you say is it from here to that wall?
Right
say it was 20 feet?
Just about.
I'd say that's fair. So, from here to that wall and back is 40 feet, which is even less than the length of the hall that the old man had to move through, correct?
A few feet, maybe.
Look, this is absolutely insane. What makes you think you can do this?
We can't stop her.
Well, according to you, it only takes 15 seconds. We can spare that, can't we? Does anybody here have a watch with a second hand?
Oh, I have.
All right. When you want me to start, stamp your foot. That'll be the body count.
We'll time you from there.
Now, let's assume that the old man's canes were right by his bedside, right?
Right.
All right. I'm ready.
1 second. I just want the second hand to be at 60.
Speed it up. Walk faster than that.
This is, I think, even more quickly than the old man walked in the courtroom.
No, it's not. Well, if you want me to speed it up, then fine, I will.
Speed it up a little bit.
And stop.
Right.
What's the time?
20, 25, 30, 35... 39 seconds exactly.
That can't be!
39 seconds.
Now, that's interesting.
Say, now, you know,
What do you think of that?
39 seconds. 39.
And the old man swore, on his oath, that it was 15.
She may have been a bit off on the speed that the old man moved at, but 24 seconds off. Well now, you know.
Look, far be it from me to call anyone a liar, but even allowing quite a bit of difference in speed between her and the old man, still there's quite a
discrepancy.
Now, I think that the old man was trying to get to his front door, heard someone racing down the steps, and assumed that it was the boy.
I think that's possible.
Assumed? Now listen to me, everyone. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake. What dishonesty? Tell her! You come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about the slums and injustice, and you got a couple of soft-hearted sophisters listening to you. Well, guess what? I'm not. I'm sick of it all. What is the matter with you people? This boy is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers. Slip through our fingers? Are you his executioner? I'm one of them. Perhaps you'd like to pull the switch. Oh, I'm this good for nothing, you'd bet I'd like to pull the switch. I'm sorry for you. Don't start with me. What it must feel like to want to pull the switch. Shut up. You're a sadist. Shut up. You want to see this boy die because it satisfies you personally, not because of the facts. You disgust. Will you just shut up? Let me at her! I'll kill you! I'll kill you. You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you? Is there anything wrong here? I heard some noise.
No, nothing's wrong. You can take that back now. We're finished with it.
Well, what are you all looking at?
I don't see why we have to behave like children.
Nor do I. We have a responsibility. This is a remarkable thing about democracy, that we are, notified. That we are notified by mail to come down to this place and decide on the guilt or innocence of a person, a man or a woman that we have never known. There is nothing we gain or lose by our verdict. This is one of the reasons why we are strong. We should not make this a personal thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Why do you thank me?
We forget. It's good to be reminded.
I'm glad that we're going to be civilized about this.
Well, we're still nowhere.
No, we're somewhere. We're getting there. Maybe.
Maybe.
Who has an idea?
I think maybe we should try another vote. Mr. Foreman?
It's all right with me. Is there anyone who doesn't want to vote?
Well, I want an open ballot. I want to see who stands where. Let's vote now.
That sounds fair. Anyone object?
Let's vote.
All right. I'll call off your jury numbers. I vote guilty. 2,
Not guilty.
3,
Guilty.
4,
Guilty.
5,
Not guilty.
6,
Not guilty.
7,
Guilty.
8,
Not guilty.
9,
Not guilty.
10,
Guilty.
11,
Not guilty.
12.
Guilty.
That's 6 to 6.
I'll tell you something. The crime's been committed in this room.
The vote is 6 to 6.
I'm ready to walk into that courtroom right now and declare a hung jury. This has been going on for too long.
I'd like to know why you changed your mind. And why you changed your mind. And why you did. There are 6 people here who think we may be turning a murderer loose in the streets. A motion voted. Why?
It would seem that the old man did not see the boy run across the hall. I don't think it's likely that the old man could have heard someone scream, "I'm going to kill you." Old men dream. And if the boy did scream he was going to kill, then we have the authority of this person to prove that it might not actually mean he was going to kill.
Why don't we just take it into the judge and let the boy have his chances with 12 other jurors?
6 to 6. I don't think you guys will ever agree on anything.
It's gotta be unanimous. And we're never gonna convince her. At first I was alone. Now 5 others agree. There is doubt. You're never going to convince me that there's a doubt because I know there isn't no doubt.
Maybe we are a hung jury.
We
It
are,
happens sometimes.
we are not going to be a hung jury.
But we are, right now. A perfect balance. Let's take it into the judge.
If there is a reasonable doubt, I don't see it.
The doubt is there in my mind.
Maybe we should vote again.
What do you mean, vote?
Not again.
I still want to know. Vote on what?
Are we or aren't we a hung jury?
So we vote yes if we are a hung jury and no if we aren't a hung jury?
Right, that's just what I was thinking.
I'm not sure we could agree on whether or not we are a hung jury.
We can't even agree about whether or not the window should be open.
Well, we can make it a majority vote. Majority wins.
So, if 7 or more of us vote yes, that we are a hung jury, then we take it into the judge and tell them that we're a hung jury?
Right. And if 7 or more of us vote no, that we aren't a hung jury, we continue.
It doesn't seem quite right to me.
It's the only solution.
I agree, it's the only way.
Anything to end this.
Are we agreed then? 7 or more vote yes, we take it straight into the judge.
Let's vote now.
All right. I'll call your numbers out again. I vote yes. We are obviously a hung jury. 2,
No.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
No.
6,
No.
7,
Yes, of course.
8,
No.
9,
No.
10,
Yes.
11,
No.
12.
Yes.
Oh no.
6 to 6.
We can't even get a majority to decide if we're a hung jury or not.
I went along with the majority vote on this one, but I didn't agree with voting that way. And I still don't, so I'm changing my vote. I say no. We are not a hung jury. I still believe the boy is guilty, beyond a reasonable doubt, but there are some things I'd like to hear from those who changed their mind.
All right. Then we aren't a hung jury. So we continue.
Good. We go on.
Why did you change your mind?
Well, she seems so sure, and she's made a number of good points. Well, she only gets mad and insults everybody.
Does the anger and insult change the guilt of the boy? He did do it. Are you going to turn a murderer loose in the streets because another jury gets angry when she thinks a murderer is being turned loose?
That's true. There is a doubt.
I don't think so. The truck is straight in front of the window. Let's take that point. So the train would have made a low, rumbling noise. L trains screech when they go around curves, so the old man could have heard a scream, which is high pitch.
Good, good, that's it.
And what if the old man was wrong about how long it took him to get to the door, but he was right about who he saw going down the stairs? Please remember, there weren't any fingerprints found on the knife, and it is summer, so gloves seem unlikely.
Now I want you all to listen to this man. He's talking sense.
And it would have taken the murderer a few seconds to get out a handkerchief and wipe the fingerprints away.
This is a point. Why don't we time this one? Just to see?
Just what are we timing?
Yes, let's be exact, please.
I am saying that the old man may have been wrong about how long it took him to get to the door, but he could have been right about who he saw going down the stairs. Now, I think it's perfectly reasonable to assume the murder could have taken about 35 seconds to wipe off all the fingerprints and get down the stairs to the point where the old man saw him. The boy, that is.
This is right.
We reconstructed the old man getting up and out of bed, walking over to the door, and we timed that. Now, let's reconstruct the actual crime.
As well as we can reconstruct it.
I think I'm gonna lose up to 30 or 40 seconds pretty easy at that point.
Let's reconstruct the killing.
Yes, let's.
Here, you do the stabbing.
No. I'll do it.
Okay, and you can be the one that gets stabbed. And remember, you take 1 second to fall.
And he was found on his side, his right side. So fall and roll over onto your right side. Don't you think, if another person hates them enough to kill them, that maybe they would look at their victim for a second or two?
Try to divorce yourself from this particular case. You know, the human nature.
Well, yes, that seems reasonable. Now, wait a minute. He would have fallen and ended up on his right side. The father, that is, but stabbing someone isn't like shooting them, even when it's right in the heart. He would have worked on the floor for a few seconds, writhing, maybe?
That's quite possible. He would have had enough oxygen in his system to carry him for 2 or 3 seconds, I should think.
Wouldn't the father have cried out?
Maybe the boy held his mouth. That's possible.
And there's another point I bring out. Anyone who is clear enough mentally to wipe the fingerprints off the knife, well, that person is also clear enough mentally to look around the apartment, or room in this case, for any other clues. It would just be for a second or two, I should think, but still, he would look.
This just gets better and better.
I'm just trying to make this clear. One doesn't talk about quality when murder is involved.
About this on the fingerprints. The boy wiped them off of the knife. Well, what about the doorknob? If I was home alone and a man came into my house, a man that hated me, and he was wiping the doorknob off as he was coming in, I'd start screaming. I mean, anyone would have an uneasy feeling. So, the doorknob must have been wiped off after the crime was committed, and this too would take up some time.
That's very true. You timed the last one. Why don't you time this one too?
All right.
Stamp your foot when you want me to start.
1 second. I want the hand to be at 60.
I'm going to kill you. And he would have wiped both doorknobs. Stop.
20. Yeah. 20, 25, 29. About 29 and a half seconds, I'd say.
And whoever did murder the father still would have had to have gone down the hall and down the stairs. At least 1 flight of stairs.
You see? You see?
So now both time sequences check out. The one you did and the one you just did. And with running down the stairs and all, they both match up.
Sure, he's an old man who wants attention, but he feels the same way everyone does. A life is at stake.
So, while the old man may have been wrong about how long it took him to get to the door, I think it's quite possible to assume he did see the boy going down the stairs.
Except for the fact the old man swore under oath that it was only 15 seconds.
We all seem to agree it was 25 to 40 seconds later.
You are now admitting that the old man lied in one case and then told the truth in the other. While I do agree this does tend to confirm the story of the old man, he is now a proven liar, and this is by your own admission.
It may be true that the old man lies in part, but I think this will change my vote once more. Guilty.
Then, what about you? What do you think now?
I'm not just sure what I think yet. I want to talk some more. At first I thought guilty, then I changed. But now I'm sort of swinging back to guilty.
Okay, and what about you?
No, I am now in real doubt. Real doubt.
I say guilty. I was right the first time.
Now we're beginning to make some sense here.
The vote seems to be about 9 to 3 in favor of guilty.
One more question about the old man downstairs. Do any of you live in apartment buildings?
I do not know what you're thinking, but I know what I'm thinking.
What's that?
I do not live in a tenement, but it is close, and there's just enough light in the hall so you can see the steps. No more. The light bulbs are so small, and this murder took place in a tenement. Do you remember how he stumbled on the steps?
The police officers had large bulbs. One even had a flashlight, remember?
An old man who misjudged the time by 20 seconds. On this we can all agree. This old man looked down the dark hallway of the tenement and recognized the running figure.
He was 100% wrong about the time it took. It took almost twice as long as he thought it would.
Then could not the old man be 100% wrong about who he saw?
Oh, that is the most stupidest thing I have ever heard of. You're making that up out of thin air.
We're hungry. Let's be honest.
Do you truly believe that there is no room for reasonable doubt?
Why, yes, I do.
I beg your pardon, but perhaps you don't understand the term reasonable doubt.
What do you mean I don't understand? Who do you think you are to talk to me like that? How do you like this guy? He comes here, running away from his life, and before he can take a big breath, he's telling us out of our hours? The nerve of him.
No one here is asking where anyone came from,
Well, I was born right here.
or where your mother came from.
Maybe it wouldn't hurt us to take some tips from people who came running here. Maybe they know some things that we don't know. We're not so perfect.
Please, I am used to this. It is all right, thank you.
It's not all right.
Okay. I apologize. Is that what you want?
Yes, that's what I will.
Enough! Who has something constructive to say?
Well, something's been bothering me a little. The whole business about the stab wound, how it was made, the downward angle of it, you know?
Oh, they went over it and over it in court.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. The boy is 5 feet 8 inches tall. His father is 6 feet 2 inches tall. That's a difference of 6 inches. It's a very awkward thing to stab down into the chest of someone that's half a foot taller than you are.
Look, you're not going to be satisfied until you see it again. So I'll give you a demonstration. Somebody get up. Okay. Please pay attention. I don't want to have to do this again. Is that 6 inches?
That's more than 6 inches.
Okay. Well, let it be more.
Look out!
That's not funny.
What is the matter with you?
Oh, come on. Nobody's hurt, are they? No, nobody's hurt. All right? Take a look at it. Down and in. That's how I'd stab a taller person, and that's how it was done. Go ahead and take a look at it. There's your angle.
course not.
Did you? Oh, come on, let's not be silly. Did you? Of course not. Then how do you get your information about how it's done? What do you mean? It's just common sense. Have you ever seen a person get stabbed? No. The boy was an experienced knife fighter. He even went to reform school for knifing someone. Isn't that so?
That's right.
Take a look at this. Doesn't this seem like an awkward way to handle a knife? What are you asking me for?
Wait a minute. What is the matter with me? Give me that knife.
Have you ever seen a knife fight?
Yes, I have.
In the movies?
In my backyard, on my stoop, in the vacant lot across the street. Too many of them. Switch knives came with the neighborhood I lived in. Funny I didn't think of it before. I guess you tried to prevent those things. Anyone who's ever used a switch knife or never has stabbed downward. You just don't handle a switch knife like that. You would have stabbed underhanded.
And that means the boy couldn't have made the kind of wound that kills his father.
I suppose it's conceivable that the boy could have made the wound, but not likely. Not if the boy hasn't had any experience with switch knives, and we all know he's had a lot of experience with them.
I don't believe it.
Me neither. You're giving us a lot of mumbo jumbo.
What do you think?
I don't know.
How about you?
I'll tell you all something. I'm a little sick of this whole thing already, so let's stop the arguing and go home.
Before we decide on anything else, I'd like to try and pull this all together. This should be good.
She has a right. Let her go ahead.
Do you want me to time this, too?
Let's hear her.
Listen, I'm an advertiser. I like to see things get pulled together. Makes for a good layout. So, why don't we take a step back? Look at the entire picture. Try and get a fresh point of view. Try and find any new kinds of patterns.
All right. Now, I want you to think about this logically and consistently. We have guilty. I want to know, is the boy smart or is he dumb?
What do you mean?
This is a boy who has gone to reform school for knifing someone. On the night of the murder, he bought a knife, a switch knife. He would then take a very stupid boy to go and kill a man, his father, with an instrument that everyone would associate with the son. Quite agree, the boy is dumb. However, if he were dumb, then why did he make the kind of wound that an inexperienced man would make with a knife?
I'm not sure I understand.
To murder someone must take great emotion, great hatred. And at that moment, he would wield the knife as best he could. And a man who is trained with knives would go underhand. An untrained man would go overhand. But at this moment, the boy is being very smart. Everyone knows that he's an experienced knife fighter, so he makes the kind of wound that an amateur would make. That boy is a smart one. Smart enough to wipe away the fingerprints. And perhaps even smart enough to wait until an L train was going by to cover up the noise. Now, I want to know, is the boy smart or is he dumb? Now, wait a minute.
Well, the woman across the street, she saw the murder through the windows of the passing L train. So, someone on that train, they could have seen the murder too.
A possibility, but no one that we know of.
I would think it would take an awfully dumb man to take that chance to do the murder exactly as a train was going by.
Exactly. A dumb man. A very stupid man. A man swept by emotions. Probably he heard nothing. He probably didn't even hear the train coming. But whoever did kill the father did it as well as he could.
So?
The boy is dumb enough to do everything to associate himself with a switch knife. A switch knife murder. And yet, a moment after the murder, he becomes smart enough to make the kind of wound that would lead us to suspect someone else. But yet at the same moment, he's dumb enough to do the killing as an L train is going by. Then, a moment later, he's smart enough to wipe away the fingerprints. To say this boy is guilty, you have to say that he's dumb from around 8 o'clock to about midnight. And then at midnight, he's smart for a second, and then dumb for a few seconds, and then smart again, and then dumb again, and then smart, and then stupid. So stupid that he does not even think of a good alibi. Now, is the boy smart, or is he dumb? To say that he is guilty, you have to toss his intelligence like a pancake. There is doubt, doubt, doubt.
I had never thought about that.
And the old man downstairs. On the stand, he swore it was 15 seconds. He insisted on 15 seconds. But yet, we all can agree that it took him almost 40 seconds.
I mean, does the old man lie half the time and tell the truth the other half?
To say this boy is guilty, you have to say that he's dumb, and then smart, and then dumb, and then smart, and so on. And also, for this boy to be guilty, the old man must lie half the time and tell the truth half the time. You can reasonably doubt.
You know, I'm so on reasonable doubt.
I think I am too.
I want more talk. Now I've had it.
I want another vote.
Okay. Another vote has been called for. I guess the quickest way is just a simple show of hands. All those voting not guilty? Okay. Guilty? Vote is 9-3 in favor of acquittal.
I don't understand you people. How can you believe the boy is innocent? You know how these people lie. I don't have to tell you. They don't know what the truth is. And they don't need no big reason to kill somebody either. Let me tell you, they get drunk, then wham! Somebody's lying in the gut. Nobody's blaming them. That's just how they are. You know, violent. Look, human life does not mean as much to them as it does to us. Where are you all going? Look, these people, they're drinking and fighting every day. And if somebody gets killed, oh, so somebody gets killed. Oh, sure, there's some good things about them, too. Look, I'm the first to say that. I've met a few in my life who are pretty decent. But that's the exception. The rest of them, it's like they have no feeling. It's they can do with their art whatever they want. What's going on here? Look, I'm speaking my piece. You listen to me! They're no good! There ain't a single one of them who's any good! We better watch out. Take it from me, this kid who's on trial. Well,
All right, I've had enough. If you open your mouth one more time, I'm going to have the bailiff come in here and physically remove you.
don't you know about them? I'm only trying to tell you.
All right. Sit down, everybody. Look, I still believe the boy is guilty, and I'll tell you why. To me, the most damning evidence was given by the woman across the street who actually saw the murder committed.
That's right. As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony. All right. Let's talk about the testimony. What exactly did she say?
I believe I can recount it accurately. The woman went to bed at around 11 o'clock that night. Her bed is next to the window, and she can look out the window and into the window across the street. Now, she tossed and turned for over an hour, unable to fall asleep. Finally, at around 12:10, she turned over, looked out the window, and saw the boy murder his father. As far as I can see, this is unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That's the whole case.
That was my feeling. I mean, you know, there isn't anything in the boy's favor. This denies it. I mean, what do you think about it?
Well, maybe. I don't know. There's just so
What do
much.
you mean you don't? No, he's absolutely right. You could throw all of the other evidence out.
That's how I feel. I don't deny the validity of the point she's made. Shall we say, on one side of the tracks, there is doubt. But what can you say about the story of the woman? She saw it.
What time is it?
10 minutes of 6.
Do you not suppose they'll let us go home and finish it in the morning? My little girl's sick.
Not a chance.
Can't you see the cloth without your glasses?
Not clearly.
Oh,
Classes are a nuisance, aren't they?
well, what do you do at night when you wake up and you want to know the time?
I put on my glasses and I look at the clock.
I just sit in bed and wait for the clock to chime. My father gave it to me when we were married, my wife and I. It was 10 years before we had a place to put it.
Do you wear your glasses to bed?
Of course not. No one wears their glasses to bed.
Well, the woman who testified about witnessing the killing, she wore glasses. What about her?
Did she wear glasses?
Of course, she wore bifocals. I remember this very clearly. They looked quite strong.
That's right, bifocal. She never took them off.
Funny. I never thought about that.
Now, I think it's logical to say that she wasn't wearing glasses to bed and that she wouldn't put them on to casually look out the window. She testified that the moment she looked out that window, the murder happened, and then a split second later, the light went out. Now, this means she didn't have enough time to put on her glasses. Now, she might have honestly thought she saw the boy kill his father, but I say she only saw a blur. How do you know what she saw? Maybe she's farsighted. How does she know all of these things? Is there still anybody here who doesn't have a reasonable doubt?
I will always wonder, but there is a reasonable doubt.
Well, I still think he's guilty. Does anybody else?
No. I'm convinced now. There is a reasonable doubt.
You're alone.
11 not guilty, 1 guilty.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. I have the right. Yes, you have a right. Well, what else do you want? I think he's guilty. Your arguments. I gave you my arguments. Well, we're not convinced. We would like to hear them again. We have time. Hey, what is the matter with you? You're the one who put up all the arguments. You can't turn on me now. A guilty man is going to be walking the streets. He's got to die. Stay with me.
I'm sorry. I'm convinced. I don't think I'm wrong very often, but I guess I was this once. There's reasonable doubt in my mind.
We're waiting. No. No, you're not going to sway me. This is going to be a hung jury, and that's it. Well, I guess there's nothing else we can do except hope that maybe one day, maybe in a few months, you might be able to get some sleep.
For all the love.
It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone.
If it is a hung jury, there will be another trial, and some of us will point these things out to the various lawyers.
Not guilty. All right. Not guilty.